What's going on, guys? This is Martyrs Brigade 99 coming to you once again with another session of Dark Souls PvP. Alright guys, we're back at it once again, but this time around we will visit the Kiln. And you know, when the game was first released, this is one of the most popular areas for dueling. And I mean, not only dueling, but also ganking, whatever it is you want to call it. You know, the proving grounds, the practicing grounds, whatever you want to consider it. This, for the most part, is where it was all started. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the channel, but not too long ago, I uploaded a public service announcement wherein I let everyone know that I would be participating in a Dark Souls Grave Lord community event. Right, and actually, it was an event streamed by Spikes, shout out to Spikes, and a few other of the streamers from Twitch. Right, and just like the last community Grave Lord event that we held, it was extremely successful. And I think whenever you do kind of community-based events, it's good to either Grave Lord or visit the arena. Right, and the reason why I say that, you know, I've had on a number of occasions people leave me comments and they say, hey dude, you know, why don't you just kind of host a fight club wherein your subs or any other participant get a chance to fight you, you know, because, you know, a lot of times, you know, there's guys who say, hey man, can we fight? Hey man, can we practice? Hey man, can we spar? Blase splee. And you know, number one, I'm not even on that often, but even when I am, you know, it's kind of hard to say, okay, I'll meet you, because I mean, you have to consider time zones, you have to consider, you know, when both participants are available. So for the most part, I never hook up with anyone other than the people that already know me and who are already on my friends list. So, you know, a lot of times they'll say something like, hey dude, why don't you just kind of do something where you get a chance to fight all your subs to the extent that they show up to the fight club. And you know, the thing about having a fight club, you know, though they are cool, though they do have their benefits, one of the things that I hate the most about fight clubs is that there's a lot of wait times. And actually, you know what, shout out to that Solaire guy. I can't pronounce his name, therefore I don't want to chop it up, but that guy is really good. And as a matter of fact, you know, not to kind of just isolate him as a good player, but there was actually a whole bunch of good players. And I'll talk a little bit about that a little later on. But that guy, that Solaire guy, I mean, and actually I think he sent me a message saying, what's up dude, you know, I'm kind of familiar with your channel and everything, but that guy's really good. But enough about that. Like I was saying before, you know, I've had comments in the past where guys say, hey man, why don't you just kind of do one video where you dedicate it to having a fight club to where your subs get to fight you. And the thing about it is, there's a lot of wait times when it comes to fight clubs. For anyone who has participated in one, you know, the degree to which you're able to participate really depends on a lot of factors. Number one, how large is the fight club? In other words, how many participants are waiting in line? Right? Then you have to factor in connection. There's been times where I have sat and waited for a fight club, and you know, I would easily wait for like 5 or 10 minutes. And think about it. If you're one of those ones who get faced up against a player that's extremely good and you die in the first round, well, you could probably wait even longer. Right? So that's kind of one of the downsides to having fight clubs. On the other hand, events such as Grave Lord events or events that are held in the arena, at least you can have up to 4 participants during even any given time. So that's why I think when it comes to these type of themed events, either the arena or Grave Lording is the best means to which you want to get that thing accomplished. Right, so shout out to everyone who came out. I had a wonderful time. I hope everyone had at least as much fun as I did, and I'm definitely looking forward to having other community-based events to help keep this community alive. right? Because I know all of you guys know that Dark Souls is, I mean, it's slowly dying out, right? It's not totally out there, but you know, the burg is not as busy as it used to be. You know, actually, I went forest hunting the other day, and gankers are not even as busy as they used to be. And you know what? In all fairness, I don't know if that's due to the time of the day in which I play, right? It may be during the times where people are at school, right? Or maybe some individuals may be at work, right? And maybe people play a little later in the evening than during the times that I play, right? Because, I mean, in all fairness, you know, college did just let back in, like, what, almost 2 months ago? And I know it was still pretty much off the hook for the most part. And I think a lot of that has something to do with people being off. But despite that, you know, we have PS4. It's going to be released in about, what, 2 weeks now? So, you know, participation with regard to PvP, it is slowing down. Right, so that's why a lot of us are trying to keep up with these community-based events to help keep the game alive. Because, you know, you guys had Mr. I Won't Forget. He had an event going on. Shout out to him. Fox from Fox Hill Games, Warchild. I know on Halloween night you had Brandon, Dreaded Cone, and a few other guys who were kind of just doing some Halloween guerrilla games, right? Guerrilla warfare. I think that's what you call it. It's not guerrilla games, my bad. It's guerrilla warfare. I know they had some things going on, and a lot of people are trying to do whatever they can to keep the game alive, at least until Dark Souls 2 is released. Right? So, thanks, like I've said plenty of times before, thanks for all of the streamers, all of the YouTube uploaders, and anyone else. You know, may it be from a forum, may it be Game Facts, may it be wiki spaces, whatever you guys are doing to help keep the community alive, you definitely get a big thanks and a shout out from the brigade. Alright, so enough of that beginning intro. So, as you guys can see, this was our Grave Lord event. And the thing that kind of made it a little different from the last event that we had, which was held in News Archives, is this one was a little more themed in that you had to role play as either an NPC or some type of in-game character, right? So, you know, you could play something like, and actually I've seen pretty much some of everything. Right? I saw Hollow Warriors. I saw Hollow Soldiers. Baldur Knights. I mean, I played, man, what's her name again? Oh, I played Ferris. That Forest Protector. I played Quilana. I played a Baldur Knight. I saw Logan out there. I saw Gwen. I saw Bior, the Twin Fangs. I saw pretty much everything that one could create, giving the armor sets and, you know, little imagination that they have to put those builds together. And I must admit, not only was there a lot of good builds, but pretty much all of them played to the most of their ability as close to the NPC as they could. Now, what exactly do I mean when I say that? Well, you know, if any of you guys have ever experimented with themed builds like role-playing or NPCs, it's not necessarily the easiest thing to do, right? Because a lot of them have limitations. Case in point, the NPC that I'm role-playing, that I'm currently role-playing as, you can't even parry with that shield, right? It's kind of like a shield bash with a medium shield. You can't parry with it, so that's a limitation. Right? You don't have secondary weapons. That's definitely a limitation, especially if you're the type of player like me who often switches weapons, right? May it be from a toggle, may it be from a last minute switch to BS or last minute switch to a parry. I switch weapons often. So whenever I had to toggle for any particular reason, I had to keep in mind that I had to not only toggle once, but toggle twice. And I'm not even talking about toggle escaping. I'm just talking about toggling, period. You know, may it be, you know, because actually I found myself doing that a lot of times. Because, you know, a lot of times I might be in a situation where I'm chasing somebody, and at the last minute I want to switch weapons and use that secondary weapon. Well, I mean, that's one of the challenging parts to doing role playing, you know, NPC invasions. You don't get that benefit. All right, so it's definitely challenging. And I can tell that a lot of the players that came out were extremely experienced, because I'll say probably about 80% of them, you know, outside of the minor, you know, perhaps an NPC may be medium rolling, you know, maybe they upgraded it to fast rolling, or, you know, maybe a particular NPC has 0 poise and maybe they put on a wolf ring. Other than little things like that, you know, I know some people will get all technical and say, well, you know, you're supposed to have 0 poise, or you're not supposed to fast roll, you're supposed to fat boy roll. I understand stuff like that. But for the most part, outside of those little things, everyone for the most part did whatever they could to play as close to the NPC as they possibly could, and it was definitely fun. Now, with regard to doing these type of events, you know, aside from having a lot of participation, being engaged in a lot of awesome fights, the only thing that I would change for next time is perhaps location. I think geographically it was great. You know, you had a wide open space. I mean, it was wonderful. I found myself running all the way down to, I don't want to call it a bridge, but I think you guys kind of know what I'm talking about. I found myself running all the way down there at times, right? I mean, as a matter of fact, one particular time I had to chase a guy all the way down to the Gwyn boss gate, right? So there's a lot of land, a lot of area. It was great. There's hills, there's valleys. I mean, you can pretty much run, get chased. You can hide in all of those areas, especially when I played the role as Ferris, right? Because in most cases, whenever I played as Ferris, you know, I did want to pop off with the bow. I didn't want to chase people down and, you know, use my falcon all the time. In order for me to role play correctly, I had to go ahead and incorporate the bow every now and then. So when I did that, usually I'll run off into the distance. I had my fog ring, you know, on a hill. Maybe I was in a valley, and I was able to pop off as best as I could according to the role that I was trying to play. So I think it was wonderful as far as that is concerned. The only downside, and you guys may notice it in a few clips, because you couldn't kill the boss, Reds had an extremely hard time trying to get in with the Grave Lord. And I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Grave Lord event, but this is how we do it. Okay, you would have a host, and you will have an invading red. Not a summoned red, but an invading red. And if the invading red came into the world of a Grave Lord, they will basically team up with the host to fight off blues. Right? They will go ahead and help to fight off blues. Now, when we did the event in Duke's Archives, it was great, because if you didn't want to be invaded, you know, and you were a red trying to get in to help someone, you could easily just go ahead and kill the boss and just come in and invade without being interrupted by an invasion. Unfortunately, you couldn't do that in the kiln. So in a lot of cases, I got 3v1, 2v1, because I had blues invading left and right with no assistance from reds. So although the kiln was a great area to fight, it was very large. You could basically take advantage of that area. It was kind of hard getting some help, right? Because like I said before, I don't mind being ganked. I mean, that's just what comes with the territory of being a Grave Lord. But, you know, you do appreciate that help from Reds whenever you can get it, right? And more often than not, it was me by myself as a Grave Lord, as opposed to, you know, doing 2v2s. But like I said before, it was all good. I think next time around, we will pick somewhere, you know, just kind of open and somewhat similar to the kiln, but at least in an area where you could kill the boss and allow more reds to go ahead and participate and help out the Grave Lords. Other than that, everything was perfect. I ran into a lot of experienced players out here. I mean, too many to name. A lot of good ones. I mean, like I said before, shout out to that guy who was role playing as that Solaire. This guy, I think is him right here. He was like playing the role of the Belfry Gargoyles, and that guy did an awesome job. I think is this one who just BS me. I'm not really sure, because at one point he was dual wielding, you know, and I think, and I don't know if it's the same one, but the one that I'm talking about, this guy was kind of like dual wielding the Gargoyle Halberd and the Gargoyle Tail Axe, and that guy, I mean, he was going to town. So shout out to whoever that is. And there's a few guys, I can't really think off the top of my head, but there's a few that definitely stuck out. That ridiculous Belfry Gargoyle, that guy kicked my behind like 4 or 5 times. Well, maybe not 4 or 5, but he definitely put in some good fights. And that Solaire, I know his name starts with a Yami something, but it's so long I don't want to mispronounce it. But, you know, like I said before, shout out to them, shout out to Spikes, and shout out to everyone who helped to make this event successful. Now, with regard to future community events, I know last time I made the announcement for the Duke's Archive Grave Lord event, I uploaded an announcement the day of the event. This time around, I uploaded the announcement the day before. I think whenever we do another community-based event, maybe I'll try to do it 2 days in advance, because I mean, even now I've received a few comments saying, you know, I missed it. And I don't know if that's because, now one thing about YouTube, and when they publish videos, I don't know, like, if they publish, like if they send your new video to your subscriber feed to all of your subscribers, or do they just eventually get to all of your subscribers as the day go on? Like, in other words, okay, as of now I have 16,000 subs, a little more than 16,000. So in other words, when I produce a video, like, do they send them to all 16,000? Like, do they send it to the subscriber feeds to all 16,000 on the day of, or do they just send it, like, you know, 100 each day and filter it? Whatever the case may be, I'm still getting people who's like, hey dude, I mean, when is the event, what time is it? And I'm like, sorry dude, you kind of missed it. So I think next time around, you know, to the extent this Spike or anyone else want to go ahead and host another community based event, I think I'll just go ahead and make the announcement 2 days in advance. I think 2 days should be good enough. Alright, so that's about it. Alright, so I'm basically getting my behind spanked right here. And that giant, I think that guy's just a random, well, not the giant, but the guy who's dressed up in the giant's armor. I think he's just a random, right? Because he wasn't really role-playing at all. And, you know, granted, we did run into a few randoms, but for the most part, I would say probably, well, I'll just speak from my own experience. I'll say probably about 90% of the people that I ran into were all participating in the role-playing and NPC-themed invasions. And I think this is one of the guys that I'm talking about. I don't know, I think this is him. If this guy's dual wielding, that guy, he was giving me the beat down on a number of occasions. So shout out to him. And I know there was a few people who played as the Belfry Gargoyle, so I know, actually I can't say a few. There was 2 that I ran to in particular. So I don't know if that's him, but whoever it is, shout out to that guy, because he definitely put up a good fight using those gargoyle weapons and pyro. Alright, so this is pretty much the last clip. You know, like I said before, I didn't really have anything in particular in mind. I just wanted to go ahead, showcase a few of the matches, and give a thanks and show of appreciation to not only Spike, not only the guys from Wiki Spaces, not only, you know, the guys from GameFAQs, but everyone else who participated. May it be, you know, maybe you're not even from GameFAQs or Wiki Spaces or Twitch, but maybe you're just one of my subs whoever, you know, came out, I like to offer thanks and show of appreciation, because it definitely shows everyone's dedication to this game. Right, so once again, to all the streamers, all the uploaders, I hope you guys continue to do whatever you can to keep this game alive, because, you know, even though Dark Souls 2 is coming, we still have a few months to go. Right, and on top of that, I know we have the PS4 coming out, but despite all that, please don't forget about this wonderful game. So that's it, guys. I hope you guys enjoy the matches, and until next time, Martyrs Brigade.